Okay, as I said before, we're going to start in Shavasana this morning. So I'm going to use my block in the back of the mat, ease my way down, so knees are high, use the hands, chin in, roll the spine down. So it's the first sort of flex through the spine. And we're going to try and work on moving the spine in lots of different ways today. So I'm going to have a little wriggle out, roll the shoulders down, hands by the sides of the body, and just slide the heels out along the floor. Get those nice long legs going, and then gradually just ease the legs to roll open, hands roll open, eyes close, chest starts to open out, ribs start to settle, and the breath starts to soften. So a chance first thing in the morning to scan around the body and see how it feels. And we'll slowly start to wriggle the toes and fingers, and then slide the feet back to the center line and heels in towards the bowl. Draw the knees towards the chest, take the hands on top of the knees, and make some nice simple circles. So get the groins opening and a little bit of movement into the pelvis, lower lumbar sections of the spine as well. And if you're feeling extravagant, a little bit of movement into the shoulders as well. You can lift them up, roll them out and down. And we'll let ourselves take that in the opposite direction as well. Find myself yawning first thing in the morning. It's always a good sign. And then feet to the floor, closely to the bottom. We'll draw that right knee in, hands around the shin, and lengthen out through the left leg. Flex both feet. Send the tailbone away. Feel the spine draw down to the floor a little bit more. And then begin to ease the knee towards the armpit. So focusing on the extended leg, internal rotation just a little bit so that the toes point up towards the sky. And then we're going to release that leg. We'll do the same on the opposite side. So again, just Conscious that you send the foot down the center line, not out to the side. Draw the belly in a little bit, send the tailbone away with the leg, flex both feet. Think about that internal rotation. See where you are. Release on this side as well. Draw both knees in towards the chest. We'll let the chin come in towards the chest as well, and wrap the arms around the shins, and see if we can take hold of the elbows. So nice tight little ball. And then releasing the spine out again, the feet come to the floor, close in towards the bottom. We're taking Supta Padangusthasana. So we're taking that right leg towards the sky, hands around the back of the thigh. We'll slide the left leg out after a couple of breaths. Give them both feet a flex. Towards very straight legs. We're drawing the tailbone away a little. And bring everything back in, and we fly to the opposite side. That right leg out when we're ready. So if your fingers are small, it's not a good sign. Not sure why that is, but it's sweaty. So we'll draw the knees back in once we bring the foot to the floor. I'm going to take the block from behind the head, just put that between the thighs. Bring the hands alongside the body. So we're just going to start to flow through bridge pose. Nice long neck. Wriggle the shoulders under just a fraction. Feet turned in very slightly. And then on the exhale, just tuck the tailbone away from the floor. Let the hips lift. Draw the thighs and the buttocks forwards. And chest towards the chin. Roll the shoulders underneath a little bit more. Then it's hands, and then we can make robot arms. So we're going to bring the fingers towards the sky. Nice 90-degree bend at the elbow. And press the back of the arms into the floor. Release the spine back down to the ground. Taking the arms out wide, keeping the brick in position, but walk the feet back in towards the center line. We'll take the legs over to the left. Shoulders flat to the floor, hopefully. And then we'll lift back up. On the inhale, and take it gently across the opposite side. Bring that back up. Cross it over. So a nice gentle flow. we'll come back into the center. Draw the knees in, just move the block out to the side and towards the back of the mat, chin in towards the chest, and come into that familiar little hug. Around on the sides a little bit. And the feet to the floor, wide, knees together, high, and the arms out wide again. So it's the same spinal twist, it's just the wide version, and the feet more or less stay in position on the mat. We just roll onto the side of the feet, we draw the belly in a little bit, and this time we try and press the bottom thigh a little in towards the ground. If it touches, great, we still press down. If it's not quite touching, it's in that direction. The feet are slightly flexed. The top leg is also pressing down a little bit, but maybe the emphasis is, for me, a little more on the lower leg. Different bodies, different things. Just floating across from side to side. A couple each side again. We'll finish over on the right side. And then bring the hands over to the right side. Use the hands to press down into the floor to lift up. And we're going to come back towards the front of the mat. Swing the feet out to the back, onto all fours, ready for cat-cow. So just taking a little bit of time. And now cat-cow can be very vanilla version, backwards and forwards, or you can take it out to the side, just gently moving across. And then if you want to start to bring in some rolling through the ribs, you can do. And letting those elbows move around a little bit. You can even do a shoulder shrug where you keep the body more or less in line, but you're just working through the shoulder joints. Again, you can do that in both directions. A little lift over to the left, down to the floor, a little to the right, the opposite way. Back into the center. I'm going to give that a couple of vanilla versions, I'd call them. Rolling the belly in deep, hands into the knees to the floor. A little spread through the fingers. And back into neutral. I'm just going to take a little melting heart, so hands wider than the shoulders, hips stay where they are. So walk the hands out gently, get a nice line, and try to make your shoulders as wide as you can. So you don't want to take the hands too far forwards. And try and broaden out back across the shoulders, and maybe through the chest as well a little bit, and draw the belly in. And then press lightly into the floor. And then we'll walk the fingertips back in. To the fours. I'm going to thread the needle. So we're going to take the right arm up towards the sky, open out the chest to the side, little pause there, and then thread underneath and shoulder ear to the ground. Start to roll the bottom rib under and over to the left side, and then try to direct it up towards the ceiling. So the net effect of that is that that left shoulder starts to roll a little more into the center line. It's coming from the bottom rib, falling round. Last breath here. And then use the exhale to press into the floor. And we'll take it across to the opposite side. So right arm lift, sorry, left arm lifting and coming through, under. And again, taking a little bit of time to identify a feeling in that bottom rib, and then just rolling it over to the right side and up towards the sky a little bit. And then pressing into the floor to lift up. So we're going to come into down dog. Before we do that, I'm going to tuck the toes underneath, sit back onto the heels and take a little tidying up of the shirt back into the into the trousers so that it doesn't slide down completely, but getting a toe stretching at the same time, and then back into down dog. So the first down dog of the day is important to sense how that feels in your body and what do you need, where you're tight. So yeah, it could be some strange feelings in the ankles, little strains from uneven footsteps. It could be the hamstrings or the back or the shoulders. Drawing the belly in, lifting the hips up a little. You could take a three-legged dog here. You could take a twisted down dog. You could pedal the legs. You could be still. You could have a deep bend in the knees and just work a little more on the upper back, get that a little flatter. Whatever you wish. And then we're going to take that down dog into a plank. Let the knees come down to the floor as we untuck the toes, so bootlaces are down. Sitting onto the floor, we come into child's pose. The head comes all the way to the ground and the elbows. We'll draw back up, keeping the belly in. Inhaling forwards into that cat-cow. Come back into neutral. Make sure we roll the shoulders back first before we lift up the toes under. And then lift ourselves back into the down dog. Hips are high and back. We come forwards into the plank. Knees come to the floor. We roll over the toes. Those bootlaces are down. We sit onto the heels. Head comes down. The spine again. Lifting up into neutral. Toes tucked in. And then push back and up into that down dog. We'll do that one more time. Coming forwards. Back deep. Handing up. And into neutral. Final down dog. And I'm going to walk the hands immediately towards the back of the mat into a forward fold. Your hands onto the shins to lift up halfway. Come back down. Onto the shins. Halfway. And down. Onto the shins. And down. And just come onto the hips. So from the knees flat back to lift up. We're going to come into Rishi sequence. So we'll take a little step forwards. Hands out in front, soften the knees. We'll take that right arm back. Keep the knees and chest, knees and hips forwards. Chest turns to the side. So the right arm comes up. That's big breath. As the hand starts to come down, we sit down onto the ribs and thighs with the body, sweeping the hands alongside, down towards the floor and then up towards the ceiling. Noticing whether the legs wish to track forwards or not, whether they pop out to the side. So we're going to try to keep them pointing forwards. Come back into that chair, drive through the legs to lift up. Soften the arms back out in front of the chest, knees bend, and then we'll take it to the left again for a slow one. Inhale high, over, ease our way down. Arms up towards the sky behind. Float forwards, a little pause. And allows us to drive through the legs. So we'll just do that a little bit more smoothly with the breath. Soften the knees, hands in front, right arm back. Inhale it up, over and down. Hands sweep behind. Coming forwards, breath in. Drive through the legs to lift up. Soften the knees. Inhale the hand back on the left. And over, down. Hands will come back down again. Shake out the arms a little bit, come up to the front of the mat. Feet are hip distance apart. Hands into the heart. Exhale over the hips, weight into the toes. And we'll step back into our down dog. Come into a plank, knees to the floor. Elbows come to the ground and then slide the feet back. So we're ready for low cobra. Big hands down towards the bottom of the ribs, feet out a little wider than the hips. And bootlaces down, press the thighs down and away. Inhale the chest up. Just a little squeeze into the shoulders. Exhale. Inhale up. So that little squeeze is really tiny. The reason is that we don't want to be pinching the breath. We want to still be able to breathe in at the top. So if you squeeze too high, you kind of get that little hold on to the breath, and that's what you want to miss. So stretch and contraction without the breath holding. Just the last time. Keeping the shoulders back, peel away from the floor with the elbows in tight. Just bring the knees back underneath. Sit back with the toes tucked under and down into a child's pose, although it's slightly elevated, and the hands walk forwards. Lift up so the shoulders come over the wrists, and then we're into our down dog. And we'll draw the right knee into the chest. Bring that foot through into the lunge. Hold here for a breath or two just to straighten out the back leg. And with this, front hip drops down a little bit. But as we bring the leg forwards, we want to be careful that we don't turn the hips out to the side. So we're still conscious of sending the sitting bones evenly down towards the back of the mat. We'll press off the toes to the forward fold. Let's come onto the hips and we'll lift up gently. Hands back into the heart. So we'll take that to the second side. Exhaling back. Stepping back into our down dog. Forwards into our plank. We'll take this a little stronger this time. So keeping the belly drawn in. We'll push forwards on the toes. We'll lower the elbows into the body all the way down to the floor. So a belly flop, and then hands towards the bottom of the ribs. Same feet position as we had before. Inhaling up, exhaling down. Little lift, little squeeze. Belly stays drawn in. That last lift. And then we'll peel away from the floor, bring the knees under, tap the toes, sit back onto the heels, or the hands in towards the front of the mat, stretching into that child's pose kind of stretch. Lift up onto all fours, shoulders over the wrists, and then hips lift and back. We'll draw the left knee in this time for the lunge. Stay here for a breath or two. So apologies for sniffing. It's a bad morning for hay fever. A lot of open mouth breathing going on here. And then press off the toes again into the front of the mat. Hands onto the hips and a little lift. Hands into the heart. Exhale over, belly's drawn in, thighs lift. Right foot back, drop the heel in, ready for warrior two. Hands alongside the body, we get a little bit of lift and take that right arm forwards to cartwheel open. Hands into the heart, rotate back down to the floor, step this back into a plank. We'll take half plank and up dog. Lift it back into down dog. Right knee into the chest for lunge. Exhale it through. Fingertips. Press off the back foot. Fold in deep. Hands on the hips. And we lift. Hands into the heart. Exhale down to the floor. Left leg back. Drop the heel in. Hands alongside the body. Left arm can cartwheel us in. Hands into the heart. Exhale it down to the floor. Lift back into the plank. Breath in as you come into the half. Exhale for up dog. Breath back in. So down dog. Left knee in. Lunge. And then press into the forward fold. Hands onto the hips. And we lift up. Hands to the heart. Exhale down to the floor. Right leg back into the lunge. Drop the heel in. Hands alongside the body. Right arm lifts. So warrior two. Hands into the heart. Down to the floor. Spin the back leg. Drop the knee down to the ground. Bring hands alongside the body. Lift from the thigh. Draw the hands up towards the sky. Take the elbows out wide. Make fists. Squeeze shoulders, blades together. And then let everything go. Exhaling out. Hands to the floor. Step back into our down dog. And we're going to lift up onto the tippy toes. One. And then exhale the heels back towards the back of the mat. Inhale up. And exhale, press towards the back of the mat. So this is slightly different to pressing down. Inhaling up. Back. Inhale up. And back. You feel a little bit extra detail in the calf muscles, a little lowered. A little lowered. It was a bad day for hay fever. Oh, last lift up. And then we'll draw the right knee into the chest. Take a little breath. Eyes are watering after that one. Oh, into the forward fold. Hands on the hips and a nice lift. Hands into the heart. Exhaling down. Left leg back, heel drops in. Warrior two to lift. Hands into the heart. Down to the floor. Take a little breath. Back knee down to the ground, untuck the toes. Hands alongside the body to lift. Float it up. Get that little lift into the chest. Elbows out wide. And then release down to the floor. Step it back into down dog. We've got the lift again. Inhaling up. Belly drawn in. Heels towards the back of the mat. Make sure the hands are flat. Last lift. And then that left leg comes in for a lunge. Take a little breath. Step into the forward fold. Bring hands onto the hips. And let ourselves lift up. Hands in towards the heart. We'll take a moment here. Eyes closed. Now, hopefully the feet landed aligned and parallel to each other. Now, if it doesn't feel like that, allow yourself to just have a cheeky little look down and see if you need to adjust at all. It's really about getting a sense of, does the feeling and the actuality align? And if they do, great. If they don't, then can we then feel what we can see, if it differed, and then take the opportunity to adjust. So we just get a little bit more feedback into the body about where we actually are when we're standing straight, or when we think we're standing straight. So let the eyes open, shake it all out. We're going to move towards the back of the mat. We're going to use that block again, and we're going to come down into a deep squat, and we'll eventually take some twists in there. So we'll bring the feet on to the corner edges of the block, toes turn out, hands in towards the heart. We're going to tuck the tailbone under so you get a little bit of pubic bone forwards action going on. Knees go out wide. Try and slide down imaginary white wall behind you, or it could be any color you wish, I guess, into the squat. And then we'll just use the arms gently against the legs to start to draw them out. So we'll take the arms out further. So counterlevering the legs open a little. And then I'm going to start to take a little bit of a lean and a stretch out towards my right side to place the hand flat to the floor. So the knee and armpit get very close on that side. And I'm going to use that opportunity to rotate the chest over to the left and then extend the hand out. So the arm aligns with the chest. I'm not trying to pull it back any further. I'm actually trying to lengthen the hand away. So it's just really the same as if we had our bodies lying on the floor and the arms are out in crucifix style. We'll bring the hands back in. And we'll take it out to the second side. Get that little rotation in. And open out. Try and keep the sort of open knee drawing out as well to the side. So it's actively taking it wide. The other arm and leg are bracing against each other. And then bring that hand down to the floor as well. We'll lengthen both legs out in front. So fingers behind. Let the legs lengthen out. Give them a little shake out. And roll through the ankles. And then we'll bring that left foot underneath, right foot over the top. So knee is high, foot is flat to the floor here in front of me. I'm going to take the left arm up and over across to the right side. Take it into a little twist. Try and get a sense of balancing the shoulders in terms of the same height from the floor. So we, first of all, want to make sure that the sitting bones are touching the ground evenly. There are two of them, so they should both be planted on the ground. If not, work on the lower part of the body first and then think about the upper part of the body when you've successfully got the base down. Belly drawn in a little bit, so it's more of a chesty breath. And then we can release from there. Taking the legs out again. So moving through Dandasana. Making sure this knee points forwards and the hips are squared to the front of the mat. Bring the foot across, stabilize through the pelvis, and then take the lift. Another thing we see quite a lot of is people dropping their head to look down towards the floor. So even if you're not able to look over the rear shoulder, at least have the eyes looking straight out towards the side of the mat, rather than down. And release from there as well. We'll allow ourselves to come to the floor, so we'll just wriggle off of the block and we'll take it out to the side of fraction. Going to bring the right heel into the groin and try to take the right knee down to the floor. Now, if it doesn't quite get there, you can take your block and just place it underneath the back of the thigh so that there's something positive to press into. The squaring of the hips to the front of the mat, internal rotation in this long thigh, toes towards the sky, little bend in the front knee, hands onto the shins. We're going to get space. Draw the hip back on the left side a little bit as well, and then hinge forwards and up. So notice that the spine stays nice and long and flat, especially in this lower area here and in the upper back. Which might sound a bit obvious if the lower back is flat, but you can still get people round through the top as well. So you're actually drawing the shoulders back a little bit as your chest goes forwards. And then we release from there and take it across to the opposite side. Do the same thing, we use the block again if we need to. Square the hips up, we're pressing the foot slightly into the inner groin. Internal thigh movement here, flex foot, little bend in the knee, lift up and make space. Draw the hip back on the right as we lean forwards. And nice wide shoulders. Belly is drawn in a little bit. Remember, we're pressing down into the bent knee. Pressing the heel into the groin a little bit. So a lot going on. It's a busy little pose. And then we'll release from there as well. We'll come down to the floor again. And we're going to take one last bridge pose. So you're going to have the feet just a little wider than the hips, just a fraction, but the toes still in. So the knees are going to be directly above the heels on this one. And we're going to take the hands, palms down alongside the body. Wriggle the shoulders underneath a little bit. On an exhale, draw the belly down, lift the tailbone away from the floor, drive the hips up, slide the hands underneath the body, wriggle the shoulders under a little further, lift the chest towards the sky and towards my chin, and draw my knees and buttocks away towards the front of the mat. Press down through the feet and the arms evenly. Breathe a little more into the chest. And stretch through the collarbones with your breath. And breath in. And then we're going to release the hands and slide the bottom down gently to the ground over a breath or two until we reach the floor. And we're just going to simply slide the heels out to the corner edges of the mat. Hands come out a little more towards the side. We'll just wriggle through the shoulders to make sure the back feels like as flat as it can be to the floor. We're going to wriggle the feet out a little bit and then from the hips away. Make sure that my neck is nicely aligned with my body. And then if I haven't already, close my eyes, soften the jaw, and relax. Simple as that. We're trying to let all of the muscles release. Sometimes you can do that as a whole entity and just kind of sigh and everything goes down, and then you start to observe some areas where you might be a little tighter than you thought you were going to be. So you can focus in on those imagery in the mind of those joints or muscles. Breathing in slowly and exhaling out slowly and gradually releasing any tight niggles. Keeping the jaw soft and the muscles across the face relaxed. And we'll start to wriggle the fingers and toes, and then the wrists and the ankles can join in. Breathing a little deeper. We can take a stretch when we're ready. And then let the knees lift gently into the body as we slide the heels in. And then finally bring a leg one at a time into the body for those gentle hugs. And we'll take a final little roll over to the right as we breathe in. And use the exhale to press into the floor. Seamlessly move ourselves back up to sitting. Come into easy posture, sitting tall, hands into the heart as we take a breath in. Exhale gently as the eyes close, chin to chest, and then belly to spine. Bow gracefully to the floor to seal the practice. The breath comes back in and builds the spine for us. The head lifts and the eyes open. Namaste. Thank you for joining me. Hope you feel like you've had a good stretch this morning. A quick 45-minute tonic to set you up for the rest of the day. And see you soon back on the mat.